Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream slash recording of Hearthstone. Today is Saturday, May 30th. We're almost done with May. Today, and potentially this day only, we get a free card, which is the 6 mana, 4 attack, 4 health card called the Fight Promoter. If you control a minion with 6 or more health, draw 2 cards. Interesting. I want to look at that before I do anything else. We had some weirdness, certainly, I guess. Like, there was a watch and learn 3 days ago, which got me this, so we might as well open this card pack to start off with. And let's see. Golden Legendaries? Nope. So, more classic cards for probably dust collection, and that's it. Let's come over here, disenchant all 5 of them for another 40 dust. It's very, very consistent these days when I open a classic card pack, and it will be until I just open enough. I suppose I could try my luck and see if possibly I could open 50 classic card packs and hope to get 3, maybe even 4 if I'm extremely lucky, legendary cards. Otherwise, it would just be all towards dust, which would be a terrible idea. Next expansion, instead of buying just what we normally would have. And this is a Fight Promoter card from the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. And so if you had just, for example, already had 2 of these from the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, then you would have just disenchanted it for 100. It's an epic. Are they going to start promoting on the weekends just epic expansions? Like, play on the weekend, so we'll give you a free epic card if you do. That would be nice. That would be a very nice change of just a way to improve things. So I need to play 30 Battlecry minions, which I can do, I believe, with my mage deck, and win 5 games with a paladin, or play 50 paladin class cards. Or maybe I could do some games with the priest. There's a little bit of a confliction there in my decks with my paladin, because I have 2 paladin decks. One is the Murlocs, which won't have any paladin cards in it really, or very, very little of them. And then the other paladin deck I believe I have is the Shields Up deck. Where is that? Where is my shields deck? Yeah, and Battlecry. Here it is. Shield Silver. So I need to play with this one. We haven't gotten a patch yet for an ability to copy these, though, which would be nice if we could, but not yet. I suppose that will show up in the new patch. Do we have a Tavern Brawl we haven't done? Nope, we've already done that. So we're not going to do too much on this. Again, last stream I said it, but frankly nobody came on last stream. And that really was just because YouTube didn't announce that I was streaming, and this time I know that it announced through the email, but I don't know if it went through the notification system, because in what can only be described as an amazingly stupid rule, you can't follow and subscribe yourself. So when I set my YouTube app on my phone to be able to chat as myself and follow the chat uh, as my own account. I don't get notifications that I just went live, which by default you would think doesn't matter. You should know if you just went live, but that's not the question really. The question is, did YouTube announce that I just went live? So I may very well be making the same mistake I did before last time.
The light protects me.
But we'll move forward with just the assumption that everything is going. I have got the maximum amount of chat open too, so I'm still trying to fix that issue. I have it open on my Chrome browser on my cell phone that I'm looking at by default. I have it open on the Chrome browser on my PC, which I would have to Alt-Tab to see, and I have it open on the YouTube browser also, so I should be able to see anything that pops up. Let's see, anybody online, any new thing? No, nobody's online for a while. Which is weird because they specifically wanted people online. I'm playing right now at about 4 p.m. in the evening, which is alright, maybe a little late. I would certainly say that there's a chance there that it's a little late for normal people, but for me it's kind of early. I have not too much to talk about. As we're working our way to E3, less and less is getting announced. Although I am noticing that some things are coming out and getting published and like released to get out of the way of E3.
Reporting for duty.
Let's go ahead and kill this guy and mute this guy because I don't need to do that. So, I'm a little tempted to take it easy, but I think maybe I should just kind of rush through the things anyways. Like,
Mount up.
Like, if I rush through the regular news...
Hey, catch!
Let's go ahead and see, this is an explosive trap. That's what I figured.
The battle! The battle!
That's alright, we're nowhere... I'm not in a bad position. Like, if I rush through all the news at the beginning and nobody comes online and nobody wants to play me, once we get that new patch where we can play people to do all the quests, I feel like time will be better spent if not just by default that it becomes a lot easier to get things done. Alright, let's do this.
The battle!
This.
The battle!
This.
Reporting for duty.
And
Charge!
that. And end the turn. Yeah, I'm kind of confused. Like, should I go through the news as fast as possible, or should I take it a little bit laid back? Because we got some work to do here. I've got to get 5 victories on the Paladin and play 50 Paladin cards. Which, even though I do have a lot of these Silverhand recruits around, that doesn't particularly mean the Paladin cards are working. Are getting played, because I got 5 of these specifically here.
The battle.
Let's see, should I kill this for 3? Or do 3 damage?
The battle. The battle.
I think we'll just continue doing damage to the face. a lot of news about Destiny 2, I suppose. Destiny 2 will only be playable on PC via Battle.net, which seems incredibly strange considering that Blizzard didn't make Destiny 2. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure that the creators and workers of Destiny is 353 Industries,
To battle.
the people who originally
To
made,
battle.
I think,
To battle. To
the
battle.
Halo series.
To battle. Giddy up.
So that seems very strange, but I guess it's just kind of a publishing licensing deal. Now, this is the ultimate fear of having multiple launchers and getting things more and more away from Steam. Because, like, now I'm going to potentially, if I was going to play Destiny, which I probably am not, because it's going to be this rather long-winded, kind of grindy game. Something akin to, like, Borderlands, but something that goes on forever. And that doesn't really appeal to me. One of the major appeals of the Borderlands series is there actually is an end, even if you do want to play the game 2 or 3 times in a row. There's still a complete and linear story that makes sense of some sort.
Quickly.
Destiny is also going to come out on PC after it comes out on consoles, so the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. That's not incredibly surprising, but it's kind of a sad statement. I figure, in particular, this just puts them in a bad
To
position
battle.
because
To
they're
battle.
risking a very high chance of people not buying it on consoles, and then they're going to come back and say, well, the console sales weren't good, and thus the game is not good. I only played 5 Paladin cards in that game. Wow. So 10 more games like that, it seems. Like, ideally, since one assumes there's going to be crossplay, you would want it to come out at the same time. People with PCs that want to play it at a higher resolution and all of that will be fine with that, and that will work fine. I'm not even sure if there's really any or much player versus player in Destiny. I think it's mostly more of a co-op thing where you cooperate and fight against enemy AI, so there's cross-play between using a controller and a mouse and keyboard shouldn't really even be too much of an issue in Destiny 2. But let's see, let's do this one first. But that was their decision, and hopefully it doesn't affect how they feel that game sells. I wouldn't be surprised if Destiny 2 doesn't succeed very well, because Destiny 1 was promising a lot of things that it did not deliver. For example, having a 10-year lifespan on that first game that they were just going to constantly patch and fix. But in stories came out that it was actually incredibly difficult to work on Destiny. On Destiny 1 because it had a terrible system of updating, so bad that if you, for example, updated a single rock in the environment, you had to wait 24 hours is the rumor before you could see the update or the change. There's just no dynamic level building. And then it was, Destiny 1 was hugely ambitious that you go to all different planets in our solar system and do all kinds of things that just didn't really
Back to your
happen.
homes.
For justice. To battle.
There were just a few areas, probably a decent amount of areas you go to and you take on missions and then you run through the same area over and over again. Compared to something like Borderlands, where at most you go through the same area twice, or you may be in the same map 4 times, but sometimes the map will ask you to go one direction, and sometimes the map will ask you to go a different direction.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty. To battle. For justice.
Let's see, I'm gonna get these victories way before I play the cards. Because Destiny is only going to be available through Battle.net, this has also risen the WoW token prices to record heights, because you can use WoW tokens to buy Destiny, I suppose. So there's a decent collection, I would imagine, of people that may have just been sitting on a major amount of money. Let's see. Charge Divine Shield or Divine Shield. This,
Light protects me.
this,
Well met.
and this.
Reporting for duty.
We'll just go ahead and kill this one too.
Reporting for duty.
So I assume people are going to use that specifically to buy the game and not to buy the DLC that will be in the game. And oh, by the way, I've been saying Battle.net this whole time because Blizzard has been saying Battle.net, but they're saying that's only an exception, and they still want to call it the Blizzard service for everything else, which seems like ridiculousness that if you're going to put your foot down and say, don't call it Battle.net, we've changed the name to just Blizzard Network, that's fine. We have a new guy named Walter on the chat saying hello, so I'll say hello back.
I wonder.
Let's see, I need to play more of these cards. Give your Silver Hand recruits +1/+1. Let's do this.
Reporting for duty.
And do this.
Men.
And then
I
play
fight.
this,
battle.
this,
Be purged.
this,
To battle.
and this. And I'm just going to end the turn because I can't do anything else. So at least now I know the chat is moderately working because I see one person say hello. Moving on to the next news story.
We're gonna be rich.
Because might as well just rush through them all. I guess I could pay a little bit more attention to my gameplay here, since I know there isn't too many stories to happen. You refilled his
To
health,
battle.
which gives me a lovely opportunity to do something here.
To
Let's
battle.
get rid of this guy, so I can do this, so I can kill
Duty calls.
this
To
and
battle.
this, so I can do this,
Reporting for duty. Victory.
attack
Reporting
here,
I fight.
attack,
Be
attack,
purged.
in the turn. ABC did a 2020 report demonizing video games, which honestly it's nowadays and a report like this seems quaint and archaic and ridiculous. It's really just demonizing new media, and I'm not talking like YouTube new media. I'm just talking people are playing video games more than they're watching, particularly ABC's 2020, and because of that they're trying to strike back and say things that are just blatantly untrue. And it's sad and pathetic and demonstratively wrong.
Glory to the Sindori.
So that's a 12-12. Can I kill
To battle.
this one with enough
Victory.
cards? Yes, I can. Play this card.
Reporting for
I
duty.
fight. Be purged.
To battle. For justice.
There we go. I didn't even see the ABC report. It's really not in my wheelhouse to watch local news, particularly. Although that's more of a national news thing when they do a 2020 report in prime time, but it's really just for old people, and I'm surprised they're not doing something against the fidget spinners. If you really want to demonize something like they used to demonize music and rock and roll and comic books and all of that, go after the fidget spinners and the fact that a lot of schools have just turned into blatantly dangerously close to Nazi regimes, and they literally, a kid was arrested for bringing a fidget spinner to class, from the article I saw a headline from. There's your real demonization, is the people that are supposed to be educating your kids are now threatening them with jail time or worse. More and more the school system has become more like a jail system and a danger, and at a certain point you have to wonder, maybe I should just homeschool my own child just to keep them away from the lunatics that think they can do anything to your child. There was a story just the other day where a kid brought their parents' cell phone to school, and the principal of the school said that they weren't going to give the cell phone to the parent back. And they had to get lawyers involved and call the superintendent and say, look, if you don't give this back to me by the time I pick up my kid at the end of school, I'm going to file a police report for this blatant theft.
To battle.
Which, I mean,
To battle.
I don't even know what principals are thinking half the time. It seems like they've all gone power mad.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
So let's see, let's go ahead and just kill this one. I mostly just want to continue the game
Be purged.
and play more paladin cards. A new prey glitch, moving on. By the way, just to say it out, like, you can't be addicted to video games. You just can't. Addiction means that your brain, it becomes dependent on a chemical that is supplied that your brain can't produce by itself. So, literally, if somebody played video games for 30 years, every day, as much as possible, if the next day their video game consoles were taken away from them and they couldn't play video games at all, their brain isn't going to need whatever endorphins or chemicals or happiness that they're gone there. They will be sad about it probably, but there's literally just no dependency there, which is the same argument that disproves that you can be addicted to marijuana, is because there's just no dependency on THC or MDM or whatever it is. MDM, I don't think it's MDMA. Like, compared to alcohol, where if you are actually addicted to alcohol, you can't just stop drinking alcohol because your body will go into shock. In fact, they often prescribe alcoholics to be given intravenously alcohol in during surgeries. So that's the difference. On top of that, the Diagnostic Statistics Manual, the DSM, newest version, specifically looked at video games under mental conditions as an addiction,
Reporting for duty.
and they specifically decided not to include it because they saw no reason to include it. Now, there are obsessive compulsive disorder, and people can have that, and that can display itself in any number of infinite ways. So you can be OCD and want to paint your house. You can be OCD and want to play video games. You can be OCD and want to drink water. You could be OCD and do anything. So that's potentially where somebody might actually be diagnosable and still and seem like they're addicted to video games, but they're not. They're just obsessing over something. And often if you're OCD, you could go from one thing to the other, which then again makes it not an addiction to a specific thing. So if you had OCD and you played video games and then you got the video games taken away, you would just be OCD on something else. And again, that's not an addiction to one specific thing. So the whole idea is ridiculous. Now, on the other hand, if you want to say too much video game playing can be bad for you, sure, that is true. Particularly kids who have their time regimented in an extremely limited way, and that gets more and more limited as they get more and more homework and chores and things that they're asked to do or told to do. I could see that they wouldn't have as many hours in the day as they would like, and it certainly could bite into their sleep time, and that could be detrimental. If a child is on the autistic spectrum, I could see that him not socializing and playing video games as much as they should, but that doesn't inherently or immediately demonize video games. And in fact, video games are such a normal touchstone in society for kids these days. You will be more ostracized if you don't play video games than if you do. It's hardly the fact that anybody would be called a nerd or a geek in today's day and age for playing video games. They would be called a weirdo if or not. And it's been that way for a long time. What might be weird nowadays is if you don't like Marvel or DC comic book movies, you might be called a weirdo for having never heard or seen any of those. Whereas when I was a kid, that was more of the comic book nerd style. All of these things have become very, very mainstream. And it's just like old way of thinking. Like old people in particular, and I'm getting on a rant here, but I might as well, just don't like new things. And literally they will do all kinds of mental gymnastics to say new things are bad. It's really ridiculous, but it's just the case. It's just the truth. Like, old people sometimes have some wisdom, but a lot of times they're just stagnant. And frankly, as technology and knowledge has jumped in leaps and bounds, a lot of old people's knowledge is not that useful.
The gates are open.
Or it was wrong in the first place and it just worked anyways. I think the Depression era people might teach us a thing or two about not being crazy about buying new iPhones. That's one of the lessons we could learn, is to save for a rainy day or a dust bowl. But a lot of their what they think they know is wrong, and they think they're a lot smarter than they actually are because the standard of intelligence is drastically increased. And in general, they're a little cranky. Let's see. Let's do this. And that.
I fight.
That.
The battle.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and in this. There was a new prey glitch that was found after they fixed the last infinite material glitch. So there's now a second glitch. Now specifically for prey, I don't feel like it really matters that much. Like, I don't feel like prey really succeeded the way they wanted it to. In all honesty, it just feels like the game is moderately okay, but kind of has some problems, and like I just don't fully feel
The light protects me.
feel like the game came out and was the next BioShock, which is, I suppose, what I was thinking it might be, or the next System Shock. I guess I look forward to the actual next System Shock, the remake of the System Shock, being something really good too. But since I haven't played the previous one, I don't even really know too much what I'm expecting there. And so it may be that my love for the Shock games personally ends and begins at BioShock 1 and 2. Like, I don't even really like BioShock Infinite that much, although I haven't played the Burial at Sea DLC, so I'm going to do that in the next month or two. And maybe I'll find that I like that part too. This will be interesting. Vine Cleaver. So I play this, and we do this, and then this activates this. After your hero attacks, summon 2/1/1 hand silver hand recruits. Oh, I see. So I didn't quite do that right.
Reporting for duty.
Let's go ahead and do this. And play that. And play that. And in return, I'm not going to attack yet because I want to do this. I want to give it a bunch of divine shields. This is a nice deck, if I do say so myself. Let me just Alt-Tab out here and just make sure. Yeah, I'm going a little late here, I know. Reload the page, make sure there's no comments in the chat other than the one guy that said hello. Well, I can say that the YouTube app doesn't do it right. I don't know why, but it just doesn't.
Back to your homes.
This.
The cavalry.
So I do this now.
Reporting for duty.
And that should give them both shields.
I fight.
Do that.
Reporting
That should
for
give
duty.
one more shield there. So yeah, I really didn't go through too much of my story. I went into the rant of like video games being addictive. In all honesty, if somebody really loves something, regardless of what it is, for me that is video games. I think I still very much love video games. They've almost always been a major part of my life. There was a few years when I was working very hard and I didn't play video games for a couple of years, but I wanted to, or I was playing games on my cell phone still. But if somebody really takes that away from you, or tries to take that away from you, I mean, you're not being a very nice person or a good friend to them. And if that person does lose the thing they love, it's not like they're gonna find something to replace it that they, well, they might find something to replace it, but they're not gonna be happy about it. You're more likely to depress the person you take games away from than put them in some kind of situation where they do something better with their life, whatever that means. That's not going to happen. They're going to get depressed and they're going to give up and not want anything, and be upset. That's just what happens when you lose something. So we've made, I guess, a decent amount of progress on these two, and that's even made some Battlecry progress. We're gonna have to stick with the same deck until I play all the Paladin cards, and that will probably just then require me to play a little bit of Battlecry, but I don't even want to do Battlecry until I've gotten all the Paladin cards played. If you're watching live, please stay tuned. If you're watching this recorded, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another live stream / recording of Hearthstone. Today is Saturday, May 30th, and we've got a lot of Paladin class cards to do, so I don't want to really even try the Battlecry cards until I'm done, because I've done 4 of those just trying to do these, and I'm getting Paladin victories while I'm at it, so this stream, as it's going, may not be that long. I have, however, gotten one person named Walter on the chat to say hi and subscribe to my channel, so thank you for that if you're still watching. Hopefully you are. I'm hoping to get more people on the chat. I'm hoping to get more people watching live in general. Every time I do a live stream for Hearthstone, I get about 30 views compared to the pre-recording videos, which the pre-recorded versions of these videos, which only get about 5 videos, so, or 5 views, which is a 5 times multiplication. Neither of those numbers are very good, honestly, but they are improvements. And this channel will only grow on improvements. It almost certainly won't grow to the point where one day I just jump up to 10,000 subscribers and 500,000 views on a video. That I may eventually work my way up to those numbers, but it's going to be through hard work and trying my best to do right by my fan base, not by just randomness. Even if I did, for some reason, blow up on the internet, it would be such a temporary thing that I don't know how many people would stay for a long amount of time. Moving on with the news, I suppose we'll just focus on this.
The light protects me. The light protects me.
This guy's gonna die next turn, which is a shame because I wanted to play that and that. But whatever. Countless numbers of Second Life rabbits are going to die. They're gonna starve to death because of a legal argument that eventually led to a cease and desist that eventually caused the company that makes these Second Life bunnies to shut down their servers, and the bunnies have to contact the servers to eat, and if they don't eat they'll hibernate. This seems kind of nefarious in itself though. I mean, first of all, if somebody's in Second Life and that's their community and they have this pet, they're going to be very, very sad. I know a long time ago I had Tamagotchis and Hey You Pikachus and all of those little virtual pets, and it's certainly not nice or fun when they died.
Don't worry, loves. The cavalry's here. To battle.
So
To battle. To
that
battle.
really sucks, and particularly on the virtual pets, it's not nice when they die when you're really trying to keep them alive. It also seems like it would be nothing for them to issue some kind of patch or something so that all the bunnies just stay alive without having to connect to the server that they have to shut down. So this really feels like they're trying to scam people into buying the lifetime element that is available in this game, where there's this upgrade to them where if you have the lifetime upgrade on the bunnies, they won't need to talk to the server. And that's exactly what they're saying, is if you don't want your animal to die, you've got to do this. Now, I don't know how many people are even actually on Second Life these days, but they're trying to do several VR versions of Second Life. But I assume that it's probably a small community that is probably not going to be very happy with this news.
I fight. I fight.
For justice.
Job done.
Microsoft has seemed to renew its trademark for Scalebound, but honestly, I don't think that really means much in two different ways. One, I think it's probably just some lawyers racking up some billable hours to renew the trademark. And two, I don't think the trademark of Scalebound will stay under Microsoft's control or be defensible, really, because they're not doing anything with it anyways. And so you have to show, as I understand trademarks, that you're actively using it, and this doesn't seem like they don't seem like they're actively using it.
You pay, I protect.
So
To battle.
let's see this,
I fight.
this,
I fight.
this,
To battle.
here,
To battle.
here,
Job
in
done.
turn. So they may lose the trademark on Scalebound anyways. Scalebound as a phrase feels like it is something that you actually have a fair argument to say that I should be able to use this as a trademark, unlike the game that was just very quietly renamed. Let me see if I can find it on my list. Where did I put that? Crytek's game called Hunt Horrors of the Gilded Age was quietly renamed itself to Hunt Shadowfall. None of those words should it be trademarkable. Hunt Horrors of the Gilded Age. None of those words in that combination feel like something that deserves to exist. Let's
For
go ahead
justice.
and kill this one.
To battle. For
And kill that one. Oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Should have paid.
To battle!
Quickly.
Just kill that there. Moving on to the next thing. Overwatch made Pornhub's top 20 searches in 2016, despite Blizzard's attempts. So, the top 20 phrases searched on Pornhub, looking for porn versions, was Overwatch. I don't know if Pornhub is particularly the right source for that, but apparently it's a decent enough source that people kept trying it. Let's see. I want this, and like if I do this,
Reporting for duty.
and
justice.
then do this,
Reporting for
And-
duty.
then this,
Pay, I protect.
and then end the turn. Life is Strange Season 2 has been finally confirmed after a very long time in which they said they weren't going to make a sequel. They were hinting that it didn't sell enough or that they were just too busy working on something else. I'm not even sure why they handled it the way they did, because it certainly seems like enough people like that game to Life is Strange 1. I do have Life is Strange 1, so I do want to play it now that I know there's going to be a sequel, even though it seems to they say that the season 2 is unlikely to continue the story in season 1. Now I don't know what happens in season 1, so I don't know how much of that really matters. Steam had some issues on May 19th. No real report on what it was, but people were having trouble logging in and it was loading poorly. That's barely much of anything to say about that. There's barely news there. Let's see. Attack
For
here.
justice.
Get 2 more of
Reporting for
these.
duty.
Now if I play this, let's see, if I do this and then this, so
Well met.
let's get rid of a 6, probably
Should have
just
paid.
this way. So there's the ice block, as I figured was the case, and then
To battle!
we do this one. That gives them a duplicate. Let's see. I can kill one more of these guys.
Move quickly. To battle! Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
I can't play any more cards,
To
unfortunately.
battle!
I'm taking too long, obviously. If I kill this one and get one more, it doesn't matter. I need to actually kill this one and then get one more. And then give them the extra attack. Or just play this card. I guess I know which cards are the Paladin cards because they have this background. So goofing around like this is not actually doing anything for me. Mario Kart, moving on with the next news thing. Might as well just go through all of this. Mario Kart 8 developers are going to have patched out what is called the Bras d'Honneur, potentially obscene gesture. So it's a gesture that looks like the Bras d'Honneur. It's not really what they were going for, I don't think. But it's
Reporting for
the
duty.
squid character in when it wins, looks over their shoulder backwards and brings up their right arm and flexes their muscle and then grabs the muscle with the other, their left hand. And this is apparently close to an obscene gesture in Brazil, Italy, and France. Now, I think inherently that you're going to run into this problem with international games, is that almost every gesture is an obscene gesture to somebody. And frankly, like, well, I thought at first, looking at the pictures of it, I thought that they were afraid that people were thinking that they were putting their fist up and then raising a middle finger, which is a more universally known insult. That's not even the case. So the action that I see them doing is something I think I've seen in plenty of animes and not as an insult. And it kind of looks like the "We Can Do It" propaganda poster in the United States. I once, as a way of learning MySQL and PHP, programmed a database of potentially obscene words and variants of it, and to filter out usernames that would be obscene if I was going to make a website that would just filter that. By the time I had filtered out a massive list in which I'd found of insults, many of which I'd never even heard of, so I had no idea of figuring out if it was that, if the insulting or offending usernames were very offensive or slightly offensive. But by the time I had put this massive list in the database, it was darn near impossible to make any username in it at all. It would just always come back and say this is too close to an insult. I suppose I didn't program it for enough feedback, honestly, because I should have had it say which insult it was too close to. But then you have a website cussing at somebody, and that was an inherent problem. So yeah, that is a problem with international things. And I guess what you should do is potentially only filter out usernames that are English-speaking word insults to make it a little bit easier to actually
Well met.
have anything succeed. And I think my rules, and I was programming it, it didn't really matter that I probably programmed it too strict, because I was simply teaching myself in a self-education use. I wasn't actually making a website. That website idea was cool because I was thinking at some point of trying to make a website where it
Well met.
integrated all the achievements from Xbox, PlayStation. If I'm not even sure if Steam had achievements back then. As an idea, this was right when achievements were big, and I was super obsessed with them. And by the time I was halfway done thinking and just learning on how much work that would take to actually make a website like that, I was at the point where I realized, like, people aren't going to care about achievements that much, and it's not going to become this huge flare that people put on their Facebook sites. Now, I'm sure there are still a lot of people like that are obsessed with achievements, but I just don't think it's as much as you would think.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
I could play this, or I can do this.
Mount up.
And I think doing this is the better move.
Be purged. Be purged.
Moving on to the next news, the original Shadow Warrior Alpha and Beta have been released, I think, on Steam. It's really hard to find it, though. Like, I was reading the article, I clicked the link, it took me to a different original Shadow Warrior. There's like 2 Shadow Warrior classics. available on Steam. One that's like free to play. One that costs money. I'm not even sure what's really going on there.
To Northrend!
But it is
To battle!
certainly odd.
Victory!
Kill this one.
To battle!
And let's go ahead and kill this one.
To battle!
Attack with
Be
everything else.
purged.
To battle! To battle!
Activision, Square Enix, and Codemasters have all dropped prices in the Humble store. So if you want to buy games in the Humble store, that's available to you. There's an argument to buying games in the Humble store, since you seem to get a Steam key for anything you buy there anyways. It doesn't seem like a terrible idea. I buy the Humble bundles probably when they make sense every month. I assume this is for the pre-summer sale, which is going to happen in June for Steam. The sales on Steam since I got really big into buying video games haven't been that great. Digital Devolver is on sale right now, and I got a few things. I completed like a collection for 30 cents, and that's all I did, because the rest of the Digital Devolver games are 70% off or lower, or as low as like 40% off even. So not the greatest of deals, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I want to look at the budget this year, because it's not like I've really burnt through what I bought in the last two summer sales. Maybe, have I done two summer sales? I think I might have.
Put your faith in the light!
I still have a lot of games. A lot of them are.
To battle!
A lot of the games I have are not
To battle!
inherently ones that I'm gonna play,
To battle!
but
To battle! To battle!
they're there in the collection for me to own, just in case I ever want to do that. For a great example of that is I started playing the King's Quest 2015 remake. Oh, I didn't realize this one stole Divine Shields from the other sides. Oh. I did not realize that. There's a King's Quest Legacy collection on Steam that I got, and I knew even when I was getting it that I was only going to use it as a reference point to play the remake, the reboot. There was never any chance that I was going to play through those old Sierra King's Quest games, because I didn't have that love for them, because I didn't play them when I was a kid, and they are text-based adventure games where it's not until like King's Quest 3 that you even have mouse support. At one point they let you have joystick control or support for DOSBox, which probably means no joystick you use in modern time would work. The interface and manipulating of the characters and walking around is awful. I literally, when I was spotlighting King's Quest 1 through 7, took about an hour, and I was just playing to the point where I legitimately just died, because Sierra games are built around the idea that you're going to die a lot and you have to save scum, and you're going to lose a lot unless you are following a guide very specifically.
To battle!
Let's see. Can I do anything here?
Minion already attacked.
Play this.
For justice.
Reporting for duty.
End the turn. I'm gonna lose this one, but I don't mind. So I was just playing to the point of dying, and it took me about less than 10 minutes in every single game to die. One of the King's Quest games has a DRM that isn't cracked or patched. So you have to actually do this. Look at the manual DRM to even launch the game. It's awful. And all the games are awful. King's Quest V specifically, I think, or was it 6? Looked really good. Looked like it might be playable if I had some nostalgia for it and really wanted to put the effort. But then King's Quest 6 and 7, I believe, looked pretty bad after that. There was a decent, noticeable drop in quality after that.
I will fight
And then
with
in
honor.
doing more research from these games from 1983 to 1993, the very, very old games, it turns out that there's kind of a prequel to the King's Quest series called The Wizard and the Princess that you seem to not be able to get. At least you can't get it on Steam. And then King's Quest VIII, The Mask of Eternity, although it may not have been actually ever called King's Quest VIII, is impossible to get also. So you just have this middling collection here. Apparently there was some controversy on like Rydo disputes who was in charge and what the story was supposed to be on King's Quest VIII. And at some point in there, I'm pretty sure Sierra went out of business and Activision just bought the rights to them. And so nobody that's actually working on, that originally worked on King's Quest is doing anything with it. There might have been a lady that was writing the whole story, because I know King's Quest 7 seemed a little yay women in a good way. Like, I don't mind it at all. In fact, I'm really loving the King's Quest reboot, 2015 reboot made by the Odd Gentleman. I would say that there is a good argument that the Odd Gentleman, being a company that had only made one 2D platformer that was in black and white stylistically before, they probably didn't have as good of the animation chops as I would have liked for the King's Quest reboot, because that name is in the mind of video game players. Even me, who's never played any of it, knows the phrase King's Quest. It's not just this thing that nobody's ever heard of. So to reboot it with a company that they're doing a good job, they're just not doing as much of a good job as I would like. And I'm very much enjoying it. The story practically completely rips off Princess Bride, which is not a bad thing because I like Princess Bride. And it even has one of the voice actors from Princess Bride as a character, or somebody doing a very good impression of one of the actors from Princess Bride. So that's really cool. And in the Princess Bride, same way, you have your granddaughter, Gwendolyn, who's listening to the King Graham, who is the character you play as, tell his stories of his youth. And it's really cool. So you have this precocious little girl in the commenting on what you're saying and asking questions like, is there going to be a dragon in this story? Please tell me there's a dragon. She loves dragons and stuff, and it's cool. And all the characters are really cool. I'm really, really loving this. It's kind of a kid-friendly fantasy thing. It seems like there's 3 paths throughout the game, so you could have been more violent in playing the game. You can be really friendly playing the game, which is what I'm doing. Or you can be overtly smart to the point of being tricky and tricking people and being nasty about it.
To battle.
Let's go ahead and kill this.
I concede.
Interesting. So yeah, I'm really, really loving playing King's Quest to reboot. This is one of the few games I've played recently that hasn't had at least some issues. And there are a few issues with the game. All games have a few issues, but I've been in a little bit of a rut. Let's see. Well, I think next recording we could do the battle cry and just take a little bit of break between playing the paladin cards. But one more paladin victory and 27 more paladin cards, and then we're done. If you're watching live, stay tuned. If you're watching this recorded, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another live stream / recording of Hearthstone. So we've spent the last two recordings just trying to do Paladin class cards and get Paladin victories. I want to take a little bit of a break from that and do Battlecry minions, and then we'll get back to it. So Battlecry minions, as far as I know, are only in this mage deck. That's the only deck I have specifically built around that. I suppose since the end of the month is about to happen, I'll get back to playing ranked. I guess maybe that's why they were giving a free card today in specific, and so maybe it won't be every weekend that they give you free cards, which would be really, really nice of Hearthstone if they did just give you free cards, particularly of the decks that you can't purchase, so you'd have to make cards from dust. But maybe they're just giving cards because we're at the end of the month. I have actually still half of the things I've written down, but I was writing very big on for news. Like the FCC has voted to eliminate net neutrality rules. People complained about it. People should have complained about it. People should complain to their congressmen and find out what their congressmen and other local representatives, state representatives and such, what their stance on all of that is. If they're against it and you are passionately for net neutrality, then you should consider if that is the one reason or one of the reasons why you should vote out or vote for somebody. Because clearly that's the only way you can have any chance to even slightly affect change in the United States political system is to use your vote to put the people who will do the things that you want to happen. Net neutrality actually going away, like, I don't think net neutrality, in all honesty, was ever here. There were rules in place that were never implemented, as best as I can tell. And because they were in place, places like AT&T and Verizon decided to not go forward with certain plans. And now that those places, those rules in places, well, instead of going forward with certain plans, they instead spent the same amount of money lobbying and trying to misinform the people that net neutrality is not a necessary thing, and that having fast lanes on certain networks is really good. And I guess on cell phone networks, they were always exempt from net neutrality rules anyways. So what this is inherently going to do to video game people is if there is a new multiplayer video game, it's probably going to be put in the slow lane unless it pays some kind of bribe to your internet service provider, which very well your internet service provider could say you have to pay us to even access this service. There's really very little, if any, rules that have to be followed since they've all been eliminated. So it's almost certainly going to allow internet service providers to raise the price and give less quality. Is all it really boils down to. You're going to have less speed. They're going to try to take on things like Netflix. They're going to say Netflix needs to pay us more because we have a competing service that we want people to use. So they'll say, if you're on Comcast, they'll say if you stream Comcast TV, which I assume is a thing, that won't count towards your bandwidth cap, but everything else will. And they'll use trickery and manipulation like that to try to force the free hand of the market away from being a free hand of the market and the supply and demand. So, I mean, they claim they're all capitalists, but really they want government, they want the ability to force people to purchase their products, which is not the idea there, but behind a free and open market economy. They don't want that. They want monopolies, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. Is the internet service providers are trying to establish and favor already established monopolies. Speaking of Netflix, Netflix is developing and producing a new English language drama based on the Witcher books. There is a slight question, and I don't think there's an answer out there yet, whether it's going to be live action or animated. I could kind of see both. Like, I could see them having CD Projekt Red work with them or some other animator to just do Witcher animated series. But then Witcher would be a very mature animated series. Or they could go the other way and they could just have actors that try to look like the characters from the Witcher universe, or there may be no characters that we've seen before in the Witcher universe, and it turns out that it's just set in that world and doesn't actually involve anybody like Geralt of Rivia or any of the other characters. Like, any of those could be the case. There is some weirdness with the game, too. If you were going to tell the story of Geralt of Rivia, you kind of know there's a time limit on that. Like, there's probably going to be a Witcher 4 game, even though there really probably shouldn't be. But his lifespan is limited, and his actions are somewhat tied to things that actually happen in the books. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't even see Geralt. If we follow some other Witcher from a different school. So instead of School of the Wolf, that you follow somebody from the School of the Bear or something like that. Or set it in the time frame way before the Witcher exists. Let's see.
I'm ready.
Job done.
Moving on to the next piece of news. Let's just get all of this done, I suppose. Wild West Online, which was a game that was somewhat mistaken for Red Dead Redemption. Although, honestly, the site that's talking about this game was also the site that wrote the article saying it was mistaken for Red Dead Redemption. So, honestly, I'm not sure I fully believe it's PC Gamer. I'm not sure I fully believe that this isn't just some kind of advertising tie-in thing that they've done where they're pretending like a game was thought to be something else, and that there's a lot of buzz around it when it really isn't. But if I take it on face value, which I don't know why I should, but if I do, this game is mistaken for Red Dead Redemption. It's this online Western game by the name. It has gotten funding, so it's pulled itself off Kickstarter. And we've seen more and more of this tactic, and I really can just call it an advertising tactic now. It's like, let's put our game on Kickstarter, but we really already have private funding, but we want to get that push. And honestly, on Kickstarter, that may be the best use of Kickstarter these days anyways, is because so many of them either don't get to that front page and don't get enough traction in the first 48 hours or so, that they just disappear and die anyways, or they do get that traction and are available and able to succeed. So it wouldn't hurt to roll the dice from their perspective, is what I think, how I think they're doing it, is they're just saying, we'll just roll the dice and see if this game succeeds on Kickstarter and we get a bunch of money because of that. Or, well, 2 damage to all minions. This will be interesting. Let's see what happens. Can't attack that one. So I don't know if I don't think a Wild West online game's gonna succeed in general. If I'm just gonna pull back and look at it, it's like there's a niche of people that want to play Wild West games like Red Dead Redemption, but it's gonna come out right when Red Dead Redemption is supposed to come out anyway, so the competition's gonna be rather high.
You want to cast a spell? I want to cast a spell.
Deal 15 damage and 3 damage to adjacent ones. Sure. I think I've probably played enough Battlecry cards to win here, but we can just continue. Yeah, I just don't think there's enough people to play an online version of a Western. I feel like Westerns in particular, since they're only a niche nowadays, they were super popular back in the old days before video games, certainly. Way more popular than sci-fi or fantasy because there weren't any of that. But in modern days, it's just going to be the small niche, and you can do a single player for it. You kind of, you can even do a really long single player for it, although I think it might be better to not draw things out. There's this problem with Westerns in which you eventually get into something from a hard science Western into something closer to a magical Western where you have like ancient Indian totems and magical abilities or curses or ghosts or something like that. All of that works itself into the, I'm just going to take a victory here, works into it in such a way that a just standard Western can't go that long without telling this exact same story. There's going to be a good guy, a bad guy. I did need 9 more Battlecry cards to play. There's going to be good guys, bad guys. The good guys are in white hats, the bad guys are in the black hats usually. Maybe you try to do more of a modern take on it and everybody's in gray hats. You might rob a train, you might blow up a mine, you might steal some gold, you might do some cattle rustling, you might steal some horses, you might fight some snakes, you might do a little bit of hunting, you might visit a bar, have a shootout. Similar, a lot of things you can do, but they've all been done before, many times. And I don't think you can really do too much extra versus like a sci-fi story. You can, whatever you can imagine, you can add to a sci-fi story. Speaking of sci-fis and whatever you want to imagine, Sci-Fi, SYFY in the United States is doing this weird 3-day event in which it's airing all of the third season, the brand new third season of 12 Monkeys in a row. Now, arguably that series is so centered around time manipulation that it's a complicated enough series that it makes sense. But I think more to the fact, they are only airing 10 episodes for season 3, which I think really refreshes my faith in sci-fi, to say that sci-fi will always ruin your dreams and cancel shows you like. Because you don't make 10 episode seasons. You don't. You do 12 episodes, 13 episodes, 16 episodes, but you don't do 10. Even if it was a BBC series where they were going to do like 6 episodes, you still don't come into a 10 episode range. The only time anything has 10 episodes is when you wanted 2 more episodes to do a giant finale, and instead of getting the budget for that, you get canceled. And that's what I'm pretty sure is going to happen here. So I have to, every few years, I had sworn off watching Sci-Fi Channel because exactly of this reason. But every few years, I guess I have to refresh myself and realize that they are the worst, and we'll never have good sci-fi on TV until the Sci-Fi Channel is dead and buried, or people are willing to keep and maintain good sci-fi on the primetime, the primary cable, not cable channels, but regular channels. Even like FX and their American Horror Stories is a pretty huge mess of a series these days. Like, I don't think people know how to tell sci-fi stories. It requires a lot of writing, and the last thing any video game, any TV channels wants is more writing. The Walking Dead, after the first season, they fired all the writers. It's the same for everything. Heroes, the original run of Heroes was ruined because of the writers, and Heroes Reborn didn't save it. So yeah, thank you, Sci-Fi, for reminding me why I hate you. Sometimes you just need somebody in your life, I guess. Maybe you need this person in your life that just is very consistently wrong. Somebody that reminds you that people don't change. The people in charge of Sci-Fi certainly change over and over again, but it's I think just shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic. I imagine it's the same people on the committee, and they just vote a different person in charge. So this year you get to be in charge, next year you get to be in charge, next year you get to be in charge. And they always swear that they're going to do right by their fans, and it's never true. It's never true. They just want to launch a new few shows, which is exactly what they've got. Get people interested in it enough so it gets them the views, and as soon as it starts to lose a little bit of views because a few people fall off, they instantly cancel it. And none of the Sci-Fi series none of their shows have, in my opinion, satisfactorily ended in well over a decade. Like, I don't think any of them, maybe ever, have satisfactory ended. You know, ended in a satisfactory way, to say that better. Moving on, I suppose I could rant about Sci-Fi Channel. Let me know in the comments down below if you hate the Sci-Fi Channel. Oh man, one more battle cry? That probably means I'm fine to just play this now. And get some more Paladin victories and play more Paladin cards. The South Park, The Fractured Butthole, 4 words there, The Fractured Butthole, gets a new release date. Honestly, I wouldn't trust the release date that much because this is like the second or third time that it's gotten a release date. It's not uncommon. The previous game also had many release dates because the South Park creators were actively involved and were rewriting things. Is the rumor, at least. But the game turned out good, so if they want to push it back and they want to push it back, the only thing they're doing wrong here is announcing release dates at all, which I assume maybe they are required or getting pushed to do because of
Reporting for duty.
like shareholder meetings. Is my guess is that they want to say this game will come out in this quarter or this quarter, when really, if there was just more honesty and less people that just wanted greedy quarter earnings so they could sell and trade their stocks in a video game company. So if video games were just not publicly owned, it would be great. In fact, in my opinion, I just don't think anything should be publicly owned other than maybe government things, which technically are always publicly owned. But yeah, if there wasn't that manipulation, they could just be more honesty and say, this game will be great, it'll be out when it's out. That's all you really should say and need to say. Final thing I have written on my news, and like I said, there wasn't really a lot, even though I managed to stretch it out by doing some rants. I have Minecraft for the Switch. They did some tests on it. It has a lower view distance in portable mode than in docked mode, which is slightly problematic, and I think if you were flying around on an Elytra, that you would have pop-in and it just wouldn't look as smooth as you would want for Minecraft. Minecraft in itself seems like something that should be easier to implement and have work, and just be smooth, and you generally want that view distance as far as you can go. Sometimes servers will limit you a little bit, but I prefer it to be 16 plus chunks if you can do it, since while it is animating a bunch of blocks, it's not really doing too much there. I don't think Minecraft is programmed as well as it should be, honestly, but whatever. The other limitations for the Switch version of Minecraft is there's no amplified mode at all, so you can't have amplified terrains, which that certainly seems seems like an extreme oversight in my opinion. Also, it would say it has a bigger but still limited map size. All the console versions have that, so you can't just constantly walk to the edge and generate new terrain. I would say though, of the console versions, it seems like the Switch version runs at a solid 60 frames per second, better than even some of the other console versions like the PS4. But again, it should run at 60 frames per second. You're talking Minecraft, you're not talking a Crisis. Need to kill this.
Reporting for duty.
For justice.
I'm gonna lose here, but it doesn't really matter. So now we're at the beginning of the last call. I'm gonna call it the last call, but it's not really last call. Anybody that wants to friend me on Steam, well, you can friend me on Steam too, but anybody that wants to friend me on battle.net, the links are in the description. I could potentially play people after I'm done with this part of the game, which is going to be 14 more Paladin cards and 1 more victory. And I think I could probably get a rather quick Paladin victory with my Murloc deck if anything else, everything else fails. So I'm not extremely worried about that. There is also the Battle Cry cards. They haven't done the patch yet that I can get all the daily quests through friend play, but when that happens, then it's going to become even more of a good thing to just play people as quickly as possible. I can't help but feel like I've done wrong and lost some audience because there was a lot of people in the chat, like people I was learning people's names and stuff, like we were getting to know each other, and then all of a sudden I've just had potentially 2 streams to now where they haven't gotten on, and so maybe they got bored and moved on, and maybe it was something I did, maybe it was nothing I did. Maybe I'm just not that interesting. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if watching anybody playing Hearthstone is a little boring. I'm certainly often bored by Hearthstone. If it wasn't for these quests, it would allow me to make Hearthstone streams a lot more
Reporting for duty.
of a special thing if I didn't have to do it every 3 days. But because the daily quests work that way, it becomes less special if you do it all the time, frankly. To use what might be a cliche, it becomes Hearthstone becomes less special if you have to play it every 3 days. Like if I had to play it once a week, just cutting that time in half, I would certainly be a lot happier with it, and I'd be a lot cooler with dying a lot and losing a lot, since this is a game that strives for you to have 50% win ratios at the best of times. And there's me cleaning off my whiteboard while I have the free time. And let's see, after this game, I guess I may just stream in silence, since that's the question, what to do now.
Reporting for
I
duty.
suppose.
To battle. To battle.
Because
For justice.
I could do a couple things. I don't see a reason really to start another recording after this. But I could go long and just do that. Or I could just stream. It feels like streams more and more are gonna be this bonus content that's not talking about news, and then the recorded videos that get cut up in from the streams are just gonna be talking about news, which is certainly weird either way. I mean, why people would want to watch old news, I don't know. Why people would want to watch old streams where I'm talking to people who in chat, I don't know. Honestly, maybe neither of those are true.
Back to your homes.
It seems like the numbers would agree with that idea.
For justice.
Let's see. Attack here. I suppose I at some point might just stop putting up recordings of the streams and make people watch all of the streams. That would save me a small amount of time that it takes me to clip up, break up the Hearthstone videos, but it would also effectively just get rid of my Hearthstone time slot on my channel, and it would then be sporadic releases of videos instead of every Monday through Friday of Hearthstone videos. Let's see. Am I ready to do that? Or would I prefer
Don't
this
worry, loves. The cavalry's here.
and this?
Reporting for duty.
For justice.
The
Attack,
battle.
attack,
The battle.
attack. In the turn. I need to kill this. I did not realize that. Why would you use that spell on this? Changes minions to be equal its health. That seems ridiculous. Why? This guy doesn't even know how to play this card. Wow.
Not quite what was planned.
No duh. Were you perhaps planning on doing it on this card where you could give it a 5 attack?
To arms, men.
The light protects me.
Let's see.
The battle. The battle. The battle.
For justice.
End the turn there.
How many fingers do you see?
You pay, I protect.
Let's see. Let's
The
do
battle.
this,
I fight.
this,
The battle.
this,
The battle.
and that,
Duty calls.
and then that. And end the turn. But he keeps on healing himself, and I need to succeed. See, and this is a great example of just what I'm planning on doing after this recording. Is I'm just gonna sit here and quiet. I was there for several minutes, and there's like nothing to say. Not very much happened in the news. We're all setting up for E3. Some games seem to be coming out specifically to get around E3 announcements, and I can kind of understand that
I
one.
fight.
Let's go ahead and play that.
The
And
battle.
then we'll,
The battle.
how much damage can we do?
The battle.
Duty calls.
I could have gotten 20 damage to the face in one turn, which would have gotten him up to 13 with this heal attack. That's not gonna help unless he has another card that turns this into an attack. Let's see. I can't kill anything here, so doing this actually doesn't do anything. But I'll play it just so it's a card that's played.
The battle.
Duty calls.
Charge.
And without this card, I still could have won. There we go. So I've gotten 2 of the quests done, and I just need to play 6 more Paladin class cards. So this is going to be the final call. If anybody wants to play after the stream, they need to send me a friend request and a challenge right now. I guess maybe I should just say hello in the chat when somebody says hello, because even though at the very beginning of every chat I specifically say I'm gonna respond in the chat to people's comments and questions, which I did. I said hello to Walter. It didn't really start any conversation or go anywhere. That's it for this recording. If you're watching it recorded, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Okay, we're back to the stream then. This is going to be incredibly short then. Everybody has one game to, if anybody wants to chat or if anybody wants to play me, they have one game to do it, because by the time I am done playing, 6 Paladin class cards will be done. All with the daily quests. I will move on to playing King's Quest. I guess I could just play ranked. Doesn't even matter, but I might as well. Now that I have all the victories I needed. Not a big issue. It's never a big issue when Hearthstone takes less time than it usually does. It still takes up plenty of time. More time than I'd like. I'll just move on to King's Quest 2015, which I'm enjoying. I didn't like the connection between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Chapter 1 ends on a pretty happy note, and then Chapter 2 starts on kind of a sad note. And it just seems a little odd and disconnected. And I know people who played the game when it first came out, because it was one of those Telltale style, we're going to release the game in 5 different chapters and make you pay for it, pre-order and buy DLC all in one. So I'm sure people who played it originally had that months in between to reflect, but now when people have the whole season pass and everything together, they're definitely going to be a little off-put in the transition. It also seems like that King's Quest 2015 is probably going to pull a pretty standard trick in which the first chapter is incredibly long and the rest of the chapters are going to be significantly shorter. It seems almost unavoidable, because I spent hours and hours on that first chapter, and every indication tells me that won't be the case for the rest of them. We hopefully can avoid the cliche, or almost cliche these days, in which the first chapter is really good and the rest of it's pretty mediocre. That would be a pain. A major disappointment, honestly, if the first chapter ends well and then everything else is downhill from there. That's one of the things that the refund system is going to hopefully help with a lot, but it wouldn't really help. Like,
Justice.
if
I fight.
for King's Quest 2015, you're definitely going to spend more than 2 hours doing the first chapter. So, unless Steam changes the way it counts hours and says, well, you haven't played 2 hours of chapter 2, so you're disappointed with that portion, therefore you want the refund on the DLC, but not the whole game, or we can give you a refund on the DLC, you're still going to have to complain and go, look, this game just got awful after the first card. And
Reporting for duty.
that's a problem in video games in general, is that they have statistics that tell them that most people don't finish games, and so they put all of their polish into the first few hours of the game, and then it just gets steadily worse and worse and worse. Now, that isn't all video games, thank goodness, but it's potentially a growing number of them. And I don't know how you combat that. Just, I think you need a full satisfaction guarantee for your
Reporting for
game,
duty. The battle.
regardless of how long you played.
The battle. The battle.
I fight.
That's close enough, I think.
Smart move.
Did I play enough cards? I may have messed myself up here. Nope, I didn't play enough cards, so 2 games. That's what I was thinking, is that, yeah, I need to play a few more Paladin cards if I want to get my quest done. Although, you know, a win bonus and getting up to rank 21, rank 19 or 18 would be nice too. The bonuses at the end of the month aren't significantly different between rank 19 and rank 20, but it's something. I'm not even sure
I will fight.
if maybe I haven't already gotten up to rank 18. Let's trade out everything that's not a Paladin card, since I need to play only 3 anyways. That's 1. So my second turn I play this, my third turn I play this, and then I need just 2 more cards. So we play this, hit enter. Maybe next turn I'll play this one, since it's slightly more useful. Keep on going, keep on going. On the other hand, having 1 comment and 1 subscriber is probably a pretty decent ratio of subscribers to comments. We have, I could look at it and say, Walter is at least willing to give it a go. He says that he said hello and he subscribed. So now hopefully he will find something in my Monday through Friday releases. He'll get those notifications and find a video that a game series that is interesting to him, and then he'll start watching that. And as he starts watching some of those things, he'll get recommended other video series that I've already seen. Maybe he'll eventually look at my playlist tab and see a playlist for all the other games and find some more things that will interest him. So maybe in that 1 subscription over the lifetime of which Walter watches YouTube, you potentially might see Who knows? 5 of my videos? Or 500?
Well met.
Or 5,000? I will say that YouTube's
Reporting for duty.
algorithm is awful. So even if you are subscribed to something and are getting recommended videos, it doesn't work great. And I wish they would allow me to fix my video files a little bit more. Because let's say I have 100 games that I've covered. Then honestly, if they're going to suggest a episode of, say, the Talos Principle, the only one they should be suggesting to people who haven't watched any of my other episodes of the Talos Principle is Talos Principle Episode 1. And yet, quite often, it won't do that. It will instead
Protects me.
take the
To the Sindora.
suggest something completely different, and
The battle.
it nobody really knows why it is that, other than maybe somebody somewhere the computer AI that's suggesting things thought, well, more people watched more time on episode 5 than episode 1. And I'm like, well, you're never going to get people to watch episode 1 if you keep suggesting episode 5 first. And YouTube just doesn't... they have a beta system. Ooh, what is this card? That I think they're working on it. Where it sets everything to an attack and health of 3.
You pay.
So that's the 3rd card I needed to play, so I could probably just lose now. They have a beta system that they're letting other people test out, as far as I can figure, to put things in seasons and episodes. And if that comes out and that works anywhere close to the way I think it works, that'll let me help fix a lot of my channels. A lot on my channel, and hopefully get more people to watch videos. A lot of people come to YouTube too as a ad hoc search. So, for instance, one of my most viewed videos, sadly, is the Kerbal Space Program docking training, which has terrible audio, but people want to do the docking training, and it's impossible to do the docking training unless you're a rocket scientist, literally. So
Don't worry, loves. The
why because a lot of people are trying to do that part of that game, people are searching for that and seeing that one video, which kind of sucks. Yeah. And as more people see that video and hear the terrible audio, more people comment about it having terrible audio, even though there's plenty of comments and responses saying, yes, I know it has terrible audio, I can't fix it anymore, then I already tried. So that tells YouTube that that video is causing more engagement, and I think they're probably overemphasizing engagement too much in their algorithm. But it just causes more people to see that. So one of my worst videos that people are complaining about gets the most views, which sort of tells me that I should just make bad videos. I mean, that's literally what YouTube's telling me, that I should just make bad videos that people complain about. Like, I'll get more views if I do something controversial, and that's exactly what YouTube says they don't want and are trying to stop from happening. But honestly, that's not what their algorithm wants.
Let me think.
And see, they've got this. I've heard that their sorting algorithm is just an AI black box algorithm, so nobody knows how it works. They just tell it, they give it a bunch of videos, and then they tell it the expected result for those videos, and then the computer programs itself. And I think the computer has programmed itself to think that people love drama videos and Vine videos. Like, constantly it tells me, why don't you watch this funny compilation? Why don't you watch these vines? Why don't you watch these sports clips? And I'm like, I don't want to watch any of those. I've said not interested a billion times, and the algorithm can't even wrap its head around the idea that an individual person might have different tastes than the average person on YouTube. And it's like, so I can't ever get any good suggestions on YouTube. Well, I guess I don't have too much to complain about. That was a short, brief stream. Nobody came on. I'm probably in a bad time again. So we're done. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.